correction, as your little daughter would say. Can I just tell you, no matter how many times I fucking hate auditioning for stuff.
Why?
Like when you have to prepare sides, because I'm like, who knows if you're gonna get it? It's like you audition for you read the sides, blah blah blah, and you send them, and God knows if you'll ever fucking hear back from them.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of how auditioning works. Sometimes you hear, sometimes you don't.
Well, what's the name? I recently auditioned for something really big, and then my agency emailed me back. They were like, they really like you, and you're like their first pick, and you'll hear back soon if you got it. And I didn't hear anything, so I'm guessing I didn't get it. But it was like really fierce, and I was really excited about it.
What was it? Type it in the chat.
Or they can just, Mitch or whoever's editing Jay, bleep this. Netflix.
Oh. I mean, I got cast in a Fox show. I already told you that. I got cast. Like, cast. Like,
Gag.
Went through auditions and everything, and they were like, I auditioned for the writers, for the producers, for the network. They're all like, you are it. It's done. And then I had a schedule conflict.
That sucks.
I was like, y'all better work.
Well, also the break. So the casting firm not the casting firm, like the actual casting firm, please. The casting agency, they like saw my representation out there. Was like, we really want Monet to read for this. But they
always say that to get you to audition. Everyone's like, they're huge fans of you over here. Everyone here is a huge fan. You're our number one pick. They say this to you, so you'll do your best and you'll audition. But
the breakdown, can I read you the breakdown? It literally sounds nothing like.
Okay.
The narcissist seductively.
That's a wrap. That's it. It's you. That's you.
The narcissist, seductively handsome, fame-obsessed, ambitious man. Like, I would never describe myself. Oh my
God, I was supposed to audition for that. I'm not even being funny.
Are you serious?
Yes, I was supposed to audition for that, and I just completely forgot to audition.
Well, and I'm like, I would never describe myself as seductively handsome. I mean, some people may consider me handsome. I don't consider myself that. So I was like, this does not even seem like me.
You just reminded me I was supposed to audition for that, and I just, fully did it. I was just like, in the middle of moving and all this stuff, I'm like, girl, I fucking fully forgot to even.
I know.
That is so crazy. I forgot about that. That is wild.
It's a series regular too. So I'm like, getting that would be amazing, but like going through the motions and you put all your energy.
Wait, did I miss it? Should I have audition? Was I supposed to? Is it too late?
It was due yesterday morning.
Whoops.
Bob, I miss you so much. Also, you fully are someone's Tio. You are someone's Tio, uncle. You just look so uncle-y right now. I can't.
Well, what about me? It looks uncle. For those of you who are not watching this, I'm literally wearing a blue hoodie with a dark blue hoodie with some overalls.
It's the bag. Oh, it's overalls. Oh, I thought you had like a little satchel, a little bag. I'm like, you are somebody's uncle, the house down boots.
Yeah. I'm just carrying a bag during the podcast when
Bob, the other day you did a podcast. You fully had your coat on and your bag in your lap, like you needed to lead the podcast at any minute.
When did I have my bag in my lap?
You had your bubble coat on. I was like, Bob, why do you have your coat on? You were like, oh, I was doing and then you changed into the Shea Coulee shirt.
Well, there's also this thing in LA where apparently it's not. They don't go crazy over heat like they do in New York City. In New York City, bitch, if they heat... First of all, the landlords are so afraid of getting sued or fined by the city and their tenants that they will overheat the apartments. There are places in New York City where people you will have to sleep with your windows open in the winter because the building is so hot. The heat be so fierce, it sounds like someone's banging pots and pans in the walls. And in LA, they do not care that much about heat. They're like, we'll be all right. It's only a week or two.
Well, regardless if I move to LA or Portland, I refuse to live somewhere that has window units. Bitch, I have to have central air. I have not lived in this long with fucking window units. I would never again in my life do I ever want to deal with that. I fucking hate. I've deal with it all my life.
I mean, I guess I grew up with central heating and air, and in Georgia, everywhere.
Has
I don't
that.
care if you. I don't care if you live in the projects. You have central. You have central AC.
That's fierce.
In fact, I lived in the projects with central AC. So I'm just shocked. Well, I lived near the project. I lived in a bad neighborhood near the projects. To be fair,
I wonder. I just would. Did you ever? No, you said you didn't have fights when you grew up. You didn't have like fisticuffs.
I got into a fight at some point as a kid, but I did not engage in. I was not a kid who fought a lot. No.
Don't be scrunching up your nose like you just so much better than everybody else who had fights as a kid. Some of us had to fight for what we wanted in life, bitch. So don't be scrunching up your nose and being all hoity-toity.
So you had to fist fight to get into your little performing arts school. You couldn't have got to performing arts school unless you fist fought someone.
Not performing arts school. No, bitch. I couldn't walk home safely until I fought somebody to get home. That's what I went through.
And how many folks couldn't walk home safely because of you?
Nobody. I was never the aggressor.
You told me you was jumping. You told me you used to jump people.
That's because that's after they jumped me. I had to.
So there are people who couldn't walk home safe because of you too.
No, that's not true.
So they were getting jumped, but they were safe though. It was a nice jumping.
Bob, can you imagine 6 8th grade boys just pummeling me to the ground? Like, and I was like a bigger than
without
normal.
You getting an erection? I'm just kidding.
Wow, not making fun of my trauma. And I was bigger.
The 6 8th grade boys, and I'm just in 6th grade. No, when you were in 6th grade, you see an 8th grader, you're like, this nigga's a man. When you're in 6th grade,
yes,
you would say 8th grade and be like, this is a full ass adult human. My little 6th grade ass.
And destroying me, girl. But here we are.
Why were they fighting you? Because you were a little.
Because I had a little switch in my walk, and I used to hang with my friends Kamika, Reiko, and April, and there were 3 black girls, and we were always together. We were inseparable, and they were like, this faggot ass nigga is with these girls. Like, this is not okay. We need to beat his gay fat black ass. And we would get on the bus, and we would be on one end, they'll be on the other end, and they would be like pointing at me, and then so me, Reiko, and Kamika would try to like get off on like the first stop that we were allowed to kind of throw them off, and then we would get off.
Bus.
No, not the cheese bus. The real bus. It was the B41.
And then I learned cheese bus from Monet and Kamika.
Yeah, we used to call it the cheese bus. So we used to get off on the first stop on the B41 bus, and then they would get off too because they figured out the subterfuge, and then they would be like, yo, Kevin, what up? What's good? And then they would just start to destroy me. And I mean, I'm not talking about like little elementary fights. No, bitch. These motherfuckers they were Floyd Mayweather and me, the house down boots.
So the thing is, I got into fights as a kid, but like, I remember getting like the thing. If you win 1 or 2 fights, people will. Well, in my school anyway, a lot of kids will leave you alone. So I got into fights like with me and Jimmy Carter. Got into a fight.
Not the president.
Yes, me and the president. His old ass got folded. No, me and Jimmy Carter got into a fight, and then me and Adonis got into a fight. And so if you win your fight, people, and I was skinny, but I was still a big kid. There were kids at school bigger than me, but I was 6'2". I was over 150
in middle school.
Pounds. I've been 6'2" since I was in 7th grade. I've been the same height since 7th grade.
That seems very strange.
I was a very, very, very tall 7th grader. and now I am a averagely tall adult. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, he's tall. But no one's like, this is insane. When I was in 7th grade, people were like, what the fuck do you eat? 5th graders? Like, why are you so tall? And I was really skinny too. Until high school, and I kind of evened out a little bit. I'm still skinnier than now. I was like probably 160 or whatever in high school. And I've also always been just like maybe a little bit stronger than some people.
Bigger, faster, and I will always beat you.
But I hate that you had to go through that. That doesn't sound. I would not like if I were there. I would have stood up for little Kevin.
Yeah, and I didn't want to like tell my family because I was like they would think I was like a punk and like.
Well, that's the thing in the black community. You cannot tell your. There's a big thing where you cannot come home and say you lost the fight.
Right.
Which I think is the weirdest shit that we like condone, and we're all like, yeah, that's right. Don't you come home and say you lost. Bitch, what if I'm fighting a nigga who is just bigger and stronger than me? I can't be bigger and stronger than everybody.
Right.
If I can't come home and tell y'all I lost, who the fuck can I tell? You heard those stories?
Of course.
Like, there are people like if you say you got into a fight, then the parents will take you back to the house and make you fight again until you win.
Yes.
And I'm like, bitch, I am scared. I got beat the fuck up. You mean to fight this big motherfucker again? No, not interested. Not interested.
I will say one of the boys who used to beat me up, his name was D Jesse. What a weird name, D Jesse. And he was just like he was a fucking Bob. He was like 6'4" in the 8th grade, and he was so hot. So when he was beating me up, I was secretly like, yeah, but beat me up with that dick though.
Oh my God. His name was the Jesse?
Well, it was D Jesse.
Like, that's his first name?
I don't know. I don't know much about D Jesse, but he was tall, he was cute, and his name was D Jesse.
I did have a crush on one bully back in school. And his name was George, and I had a huge crush on him. And he got expelled because he brought a gun to school.
In middle school?
This was I can't remember if this was middle school or high school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember when I heard George brought a gun to school, I was like, oh my Lord have mercy. And last time I heard from George, he was up to, like, once you enter the prison industrial complex, it's very hard to wiggle your way out of it.
Bitch, my Dewan got me into 60 Days In. Have you ever watched 60 Days In on? It's like a show where a prison in Georgia. Oh my God, the one in Fulton County, the Fulton County Jail in Georgia.
You mean the Fulton County Correctional Center? That's where my mom used to work. Yeah,
they do a program where they film it for TV, and they put real people in jail for 60 days to kind of so they learn how the officers are treating inmates, how drugs are getting in, and all that stuff, and it's so fascinating.
Yeah, my mom used to work at the Fulton County Correctional Facility as an instructor.
Wow. This was the first time, the second time I've been attracted to someone who was assigning female at birth. Her name was Amber or Amber Lynn or something. This black girl, she was very butch. She was a lesbian, and she went into the system, and she was just so hot, and she ended up getting like caught up in it because like she was like doing this thing for the TV, but she started like smoking weed, and she started like doing the real drugs with them, and then she ended up falling in love with a girl on the inside, and she told her about it, so they had to pull her out. And then I think
In Too Deep. That's Into Deep. That old LL Cool J movie, In Too Deep.
And then 2 seasons later, she ends up going back to prison. I mean, not back. She had never been to prison. She ended up doing a crime to get into prison so she can live the life. Isn't that crazy?
That don't even make sense. That sounds wild as hell. And you've been attracted to us people who are saying. I remember you were attracted to Laith Ashley, who was also
oh my God.
female at birth.
Oh, Laith Ashley. Also, when we did a Death Drop on the West End, we had a drag king in the show named Louis Cypher, and they were I think they're non-binary, and they were just so good and just so talented, and I found myself very attracted to Louis Cypher.
Well, they're taken. I'm just kidding.
They are. They fully have a partner.
When did you make this transition to a full-on TikTok room? We never discussed this.
I don't have a TikTok room.
Like, I kind of mentioned it once, but you kind of just like now you just laugh it off. But like, you're in a fully blue room. You have the neon lights. Like, what is going on?
I got this neon. What you know who triggered this? Mateo. I went to Mateo's house. Mateo has neon. Potato has neon everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually like a really dope aesthetic. So I got this dope neon sign in my room. I have one in my bathroom, one in my living room, and one in my drag room. So I just put off all my lights, and I just put neon in the whole apartment, and it's such a vibe.
And it's like you're in the red light district.
He was. Do you know that song, "The Red Light District" by Usher? Do you know that song?
No, I know Red Light Special.
Wow, Usher is your kin from your fucking state. You don't know his song?
You caught me. I don't know that song. You caught me.
Did you rep Usher hard? Remember when Usher's Confessions album came out? Usher
This
broke
is my
the internet. He
This
broke the
I thought I
internet.
said all I can say, and you came and said, "Here we go."
What on the way? These are my confessions.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
it's so good.
Yeah, Girl Confessions was huge in Atlanta.
Oh, it was huge everywhere. That album, I don't know what it did commercially, but that album was fucking. It changed the game.
We said you say you found somebody who make you change your ways, like hanging with your good. You've been there, this is what I want. Nobody wants to be alone. So when you touch my words of the song, then baby, you got it, baby.
Mom!
That is
Okay,
a great
wait, I have a
song.
question. Have you been taking voice? Your singing is getting. Are you taking voice lessons in LA?
You know, I'll tell you after this break.
Okay.
No funny. I'm not taking voice lessons. What I am doing is I have been.
Okay,
off-
Jacob's making a face. You're lying. Jacob's making a face.
I have not been taking voice lessons. Jacob's doing a thing.
Oh.
I just haven't been on stage in a very long time, and the stage was rickety wrecking my voice, like ruining me. And I just haven't been on stage so long. So
Just
my
your voice?
is, and my knees and my back.
Can I tell you?
It was-
I was telling you the other day. I did a fucking show, in like this new normal with the mask and shit. Bob, you would hate it. Never again. I will. I'm so grateful that I don't like. And I commend the girls and my hat and my wig and my mask off to all the girls who do it and have to do it weekly to earn their checks. That shit is not easy. It's really fucked up. I'm not built for it.
Well, man, I think since we're talking about reintroducing ourselves to the world of performing, which we will be doing at some point later this year, we should reintroduce ourselves to our listeners and our patrons and our viewers on YouTube, because I realize that a lot of people have joined us during the pandemic, and we've also
No. This is a TikTok room. You mean in the pandemia?
Oh, in the Ponder replay, who have just joined us in the middle of this panorama. And we also have a lot of fans who know us as the two from Sibling Rivalry. Like, there are people who know us specifically from Sibling Rivalry and not RuPaul's Drag Race, which is wild to me.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. So I think we should reintroduce ourselves to the fans, and maybe it's like maybe this is our speed date. This is like podcasting speed dating to see if we are a match with each other. How's that sound?
I'm into that. Do you know who did that song? Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is. Finish the lyric.
I don't know. I don't
Jay-Z. My name is Hove. Bob.
Oh no, we did not listen to Jay-Z like that in Atlanta. We were not rocking Jay-Z hard in Atlanta. I jumped on the Jay-Z bandwagon at the album The Blueprint. So everything Blueprint, but also still like a little bit of like Chicka what? Chicka who? Motherfuckers want to act loco. Hit him up numerous shots with the fofo.
Big fin, spin and cheese. It's just that.
So I know a little thing before the Blueprint as well. But yeah. I love that lyric. Motherfuckers want to act loco. Hit him up with numerous shots with the fofo. That's just a great lyric in general.
Okay, so these questions, are we I guess who we are, and let's introduce each other.
So who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Monet Exchange, aka Kevin Burton. I was on season 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and where I won Miss Congeniality, and I was on All Stars 4, where I tied for the win. Ew. With Trinity. I'm kidding. There's no animosity. That was a joke. Please don't post nothing talking about gaga.
Post it.
Or I tagged for the win with Trinity.
In fact, someone take this whole thing and just one of the fans just edit out the part where she said she was joking. So make it sound seamless.
Drama.
I'll send you the raw audio.
where I tied for the win. But before that, I worked in New York City for a long time in drag, where I successfully had 6 shows a week, every day except Friday, and where I paved the way for Bob the Drag Queen's career. Your turn.
Now, also, if you were just joining us, if this is the first week you listen to, you'll realize that Monet loves to make up history. She makes up facts. She makes up history. She has a long track record on this podcast of introducing things into the world as if they're truth, and they fully don't be, but it really works for us somehow, magically. How long did you do drag in New York City before you were on Drag Race?
I did drag 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I got on 7. So 6 years before I got on Drag Race.
It does seem like a lot, or does it seem pretty standard? Because some girls, like Latrice, were doing it for 20 some odd years. Tamisha, 30 years. Valentina and Shangela. Well, Shangela, I think, is the youngest at under a year in drag.
Yeah.
I think when Shangela did Drag Race the first time, that was like her 6th time in drag. And she was on TV like, hallelujah!
To be fair, they didn't have any options. It was slim pickings. They took whatever they got.
And I think Valentina there's also controversy that Valentina said she'd been doing drag for less than a year. And then folks are like, what about this picture of you from 2 years ago? Because this looks like you, and the timestamp says something different.
Okay, who are you and what do you do? How do people know you?
So my name is Bob the Drag Queen. I am a comedian. I'm an actor. I'm an activist. I do like to say that I was at one point one of the true queens of New York City on the scene. When you talk about the 5 queens who was the workingest bitches in the city, I was definitely on that list, which I was very proud to be. For maybe like 2 years, I was like that bitch in New York City. And then I got on RuPaul's Drag Race. I think after 7 or 8 years of doing drag. Let me see. I got on Drag Race in 2000. I filmed in 2015. And I started doing drag in 2009. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 7 years. 7 years I've been doing drag before I landed on RuPaul's Drag Race. I won season 8. I was in the top 3 with Naomi Smalls and Kim Chi. And since then I've been on the international drag scene, still doing things in New York City here and there. Like me and Monet do our shows that we were doing in New York City for a while before Monet started touring, with Work the World. So everyone
that's not all I told.
I'll let you do your thing. So everyone knows that when we stopped doing our shows in New York City, it was because Monet, didn't want to do them anymore. Just so we're clear.
Okay, I was not only touring Work the World, I also toured with my very own solo show called Call Me by Monet, which I toured Australia with it, I toured the United Kingdom with it, and I toured America with it. So be very clear about what you're saying.
You did like 10 cities. Don't pop off, Mom. Okay.
That is not
I
true.
toured too, Miss Thing. I did some solo tours too, but somehow I magically found time to still give our New York City people who gave us our start a show. Somehow.
Well, some of us were less busy than others. I'm just gonna say that. How did we meet?
You know, I agree. That is true. Some of us have been less busy. That's for damn sure.
How did we meet, Bob? I don't remember at this point.
Well, I remember our first meeting. I remember the time I remember seeing you was I always tell people the first time I remember seeing you was at Thorgy. By the way, me and Thorgy just did an episode of First Impressions, and she is. I forgot how
so fun. It's one of my favorite episodes. It was, you guys were so funny together.
I was having a lot of technical difficulties. For some reason, my internet was just not having it. The internet was like, nope, under no circumstance will you be recording anything. So I had to do old school Sibling Rivalry style, meaning I recorded the video while we were on this other, on a Zoom or Facebook call. It was wild. Anyway, so I met you at Thorgy's legendary party called Saliva, which is at the Ritz, which is on 46th Street, between 8 and 9. And this was like an experimental night, like a experimental club night, where it was a drag show. It wasn't experimental like Suzanne Barsh. It wasn't like people, there were people wearing crazy outfits, but it was still a drag show hosted by these two queens named Azrea and one named Thorgy, who was on season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race with me. But I reached out to Azrea about being on the show, and they were like, "Yeah, I want to do it." But we just need to coordinate.
Word, that's great.
So I saw you there, fresh out of college, and you would come down, and Monet will never acknowledge this, and neither will Jasmine, which it drives me crazy. This is why Monet be trying to fuck with my brain. Monet and Jasmine were engaging in this public publicity stunt where they were acting like a couple. Someone spread the rumor that you two were a couple, and then when people would ask you, you two would hug and pet each other.
Pet? What?
And you would never ever say it wasn't true. People were like, "Are y'all dating?" I'll never, because you know how the seats used to be against the wall. And there was one little spot that kind of would jut out. Remember that?
Yes.
Y'all were sitting on that little embankment, and then someone goes, "Give it up for her." At the time, her name was Kim Chi. Give it up for Kim Chi and Monet Exchange, who are dating, and then everyone's like, "What?" And then you two were like hugging and shit, and like looking at each other like you were fucking.
I don't remember that, but if you do, that's good for you. But
so you don't remember anyone thinking y'all were dating?
Once or twice, I remember that. And Jasmine engaged in that. I was not engaging in that. That was Jasmine's thing.
Well, you did not negate it or refute it in any way. So I thought Monet was dating. So I thought y'all were this like opera singing couple who got together over opera. I don't know what opera singers be fucking doing. And then I also realized to myself
we're not human beings, bitch. What the fuck?
I was like, of all the people I know that sing opera, y'all niggas is weird as fuck. You, Shaquita, Nick, Mateo, y'all are wild.
And you just over there like the most normal person that's ever existed on earth. Bitch, please.
Okay, let me tell you, if this was a sitcom, you know the main character is the normal one, I'm the main character, and you are the kooky, nutty neighbor. You're like, when you open the door, everyone just starts laughing. It's like when Kramer walks in, everyone goes, "Ah!" And you get like this big standing ovation, like, "The nutty neighbor." And then when I walk on, they go, "Aww," because I have the heartfelt moments.
Well, and them heartfelt moments is bullshit. And then, okay, and let me tell y'all. So, in case you also, Bob's name is obviously Bob the drag queen, but for a big time in New York, before he had another name, which was Kitten with a Whip. So I didn't meet Bob. I met Kitten with a Whip, and this is back when Bob. And then why did you change your name to Bob? I don't remember.
Okay, so the real story is really not even an exciting story. I used to host karaoke with this guy named Brian Kalinowski. And Brian and I were like, we would always say each other's full names at the beginning of every sentence so that the audience would know our name. So I'd be like, "Brian Kalinowski, who is our next guest?" He go, "Well, Kitten with a Whip, our next guest is Jacob Ritts." And then we bring up Jacob, then I go, "That was amazing. Brian Kalinowski, how was your weekend?" He go, "Kitten with a Whip, it was amazing." So I spent this entire evening getting my name said this many times. This one drunk guy came up, and he was like, "You guys," I said, "Give it up for Dave. Wasn't he great?" And Dave goes, "And don't forget to give it up for your host, Kim."
Kimchi?
And I said, "Kim," because that's a drag name. "Yeah, give it up for you guys. I'm Kim. I'm Kim the drag queen." And then for the rest of the night, I kept being like, "All right, don't forget me, your host, Kate the drag queen." I kept picking really simple names. I was like, "All right, and don't forget me, Jim the drag queen." And then at the end of the night, I was like, "And last but not least, I'm your host, Bob the drag queen. Have a great night, everyone." And I remember thinking to myself, that's actually a funny name. Like, what if I changed my name to that? And then I went home that night and I made this little graphic online. It was me in the outfit from that night, and it said Kim the drag queen. And then I kept thinking about other names, and I told my friends, I said, "I'm gonna change my name to Bob." And then everyone was like, "Girl, do not do that."
Yes, I remember. I was like, "Bob, Bob." I was like, "Look, I just can't stop myself. I can't stop myself saying it." I was like, "Girl, no." I was like, "No." And
everyone was like, that is a bad. And I was like, I just think it'd be really funny if I was Bob the drag queen, and then I went and won like some national pageant. That was literally my thought process. And they had to be like, "And Miss Continental 2018 is Bob."
Can I just tell you, if you wanted a sentence that describes Bob the most, literally when he says, I just kept thinking to myself, it would be really funny. That is literally how you make the majority of the decisions that I know you to make. I just kept thinking to myself, it would be really funny.
But
literally.
also, wouldn't it? But wouldn't it though? Like that would be so funny.
I also
and honestly, half the time I'm right.
I also do remember meeting Bob at Saliva Tuesdays when I had seen Bob before, like, and we have had like a conversation here or there, or we've been in the same group of people like outside standing somewhere at a diner or whatever, and I'd seen him like that. But the time where I was like, I remember like seeing Bob, like I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with him, I love him, was when he was at Saliva Tuesdays and he did this diamond number where Bob had this like diamond cat suit. And then but you had this like dress on top of it, and then you reveal into the cat suit, and then you pulled on this. Then diamonds came out of your mouth, which I don't. How did you lip sync with the diamonds in your mouth the whole time?
So what I actually did was I did the entire number, and because the number started with a phone call, and I was holding the phone, a fake phone like this. But I actually had a handful of rhinestones.
Oh.
So I was on the phone like this. And then it ended with my boyfriend cheating on me. And I just go,
oh, you sneaky little snake.
And then I put all the rhinestones in my mouth. And then the song goes, diamonds are forever. And then all the rhinestones just fall out of my mouth. And everyone's like, what?
Oh. The video is still on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. I mean, on shit. YouTube. We are gonna put the link.
We should post it in the Patreon. We should post this video in the Patreon. So what happened was, if I recall, so I did that, and then I reached into this like box. And I pulled out like a necklace, and then I pulled out some rhinestone shoes. So Bob took these Payless shoes and put these big ass rhinestones. When I tell you, his feet look like two fucking yachts on his. Well, it's even worse than that. They weren't Payless. They were those old Bordello shoes, but just the ones, but the backless ones. So it was just the front, like a shell toe, and they weren't rhinestones. I went down to the Koreatown and I bought earrings in bulk, and I cut the stems off of these earrings.
Yes.
So there were these massive earrings that I glued to my shoes.
Shit.
And my feet looked insane. Like Britta Phillips, where she used to glue shit to her shoes on Drag Race. And then I ripped off my dress. And I had this cat suit underneath that is stone, but it was only stone down to the knees because I couldn't find a dress that went to the floor. I didn't know how to sew yet. So the dress went to the knees, so the rhinestones stopped at the knees. Girl, the things I've learned since then.
But it also it looks like an aesthetic choice, like because you had framed your body, like you had done the boobs and the waist and the hips, so it looks like an aesthetic choice. So good for you.
And then I had on this white bob that I used to wear down. Like I used to wear this bob, and I used to go back to the store and buy new, because if you're black and you wear white hair, especially if it has bangs, bitch, your bangs black too. You know what I mean? So I had a whole bunch of white bobs that I would go through, and I had this like a hairnet basically that you could pull all the way under your chin, and I had it just hidden right under my bangs. And at the very end of the number, I reached up and I pulled down the
that shit was fierce.
The mesh, and then my whole essence was covered. I gotta bring that number back. It was a great number.
Oh, bitch, I'm doing it.
Well, I'll sue you. So
and then, so I remember seeing Bob do that, and after I was like, oh my God, he's so good. And I was like, he's so talented, and yeah, and then I think that same night or the week after that, we were somewhere, and I was like, I need to get a dress made I was doing So You Think You Can Drag, and you were like, I can help you make this dress. I was like, really? And you were like, yeah. You was like, as long as you buy the fabric and I'll give you the dress in my apartment, you can come up and I'll help you make the dress. And then you made me that gown.
But you have to hang out. That was the one rule. You have to hang out.
Anytime Bob did something, you had to be at his house and you had to hang out with him.
If I'm sewing for you for free, you don't get to just drop your shit off and leave. Like, you have to you have to stick around. That's not crazy. That's like some crazy rule I make up. That's just insane. But you're getting a free dress. Just hang out until the dress is done. You know what I mean?
Which this is before you couldn't sew. You could sew, so it's literally like So how Bob made this dress?
It wasn't horrible. I could sew a little bit.
He made me this mini dress, and then I wanted a reveal because I was the Little Mermaid. So then Bob made me the mini dress, and then he makes another tube that would go basically from my waist to the floor, and he put a little triangle godet at the back. And he's like, Monet, it's really simple. What you do is you're gonna put that part on first. And then you're gonna put the other mini dress on top of it, then roll it up, and then just reveal that way. It was very hodgepodge, but it worked, and it got me to win that week.
And you wore that, little mama for a minute.
Oh,
you wore that dress for a hot minute.
Years, okay, years. I wore that dress.
Where is it? You probably put it in Bad Drag, knowing you.
Oh, girl, yeah, she's gone.
By the way, I put in the Facebook chat, I have put in the image I made of Kate the drag queen. That was the night that was the first time the name Bob the drag queen was ever. Did you see it?
Yes.
This was what I was wearing that night.
I cannot, Bob. Kate the drag queen.
We'll put it over. Maybe we'll put it on the screen. So if you want to watch along with us, by the way, you can go to our Patreon. If you just go to Sibling Rivalry and type it, if you go to Google and type in Sibling Rivalry Patreon, you will be able to join the almost 13,000 people who have joined us over there and have said that this is the best Patreon they have ever contributed to. And I am very grateful that you all have decided to join us on this wild journey, honey.
This next question has fucked us up a little bit because Bob literally won't let it go. But Bob, please let everyone know where you're from.
I'm from Atlanta. Why is this so funny? What's so funny?
Y'all, anytime I say Bob's from Atlanta, bitch, I get read the right act. Well, first of all, I'm from Clayton County, blah, 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 that I live in. So please explain the whole thing, bitch. Stop acting brand new.
I'm from Atlanta. What do you want from me?
Oh, my God. Our seasoned podcasters, y'all know what's up.
All right, Alex, this is why I do this. Okay, first of all, Monet does not. When I met Monet, she did not understand how Atlanta works, and I understand that because a lot of people are a little bit confused as to what goes on in Atlanta. Atlanta itself is not very highly populated. There's about, I think, 400,000 people living in Atlanta. That barely makes it a metropolis. However, the greater Atlanta area has 6 million people living in it. So therefore, I am from the greater Atlanta area. Most people in Atlanta, I would say, when you told me to describe it, do you want me to describe it or not? So therefore, 5,500,000 people live in the suburbs of Atlanta, and only about 500,000 actually live in Atlanta. I'm from the suburbs of Atlanta, specifically Clayton County. I'm from Clayton County. I was born in Columbus, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half south of Atlanta. So sometimes I tell Monet about parts of my life, and I was like, oh, well, that was when I lived in Columbus. And she'll be like, I thought you was from Atlanta. And I'll be like, I am. I'm from Clayton County. Clayton County's not Atlanta. No, Clayton County is in the greater Atlanta area. And then don't let me ever tell Monet when I used to live in Alabama, Mississippi. That just really throws off Monet's entire concept of my history.
Corinth, Mississippi.
It's Corinth.
And
but it's actually pronounced Corinth. But everyone in Corinth says Corinth.
And I was raised in Brooklyn, but I was born in I was born in Brooklyn. I lived in St. Lucia from the time I was 1 to 10 years old, and then I moved back to New York. So to Brooklyn.
Tell me about the cat.
And I have a cat that got eaten. The one that got eaten.
No. Yeah, this is like a wild story on the podcast. I remember hearing this and being traumatized.
So this is when
was it Zeus?
No, this is my biological. I don't never tell you this part about the story. This probably has to be like a 2-part episode, by the way. This is when my biological dad came back in my life for like a really brief moment, and to like prove like he was like fierce, he got me a cat, and I was living with and then my parents who raised me. They were like, you have a cat? And I was like, yeah, my dad got me a cat. And they were like, okay.
You cannot get someone a cat without telling their legal guardians.
Right. So I show up with this cat.
Like, imagine if you went to school and the teacher was handing out cats. The kids go home and like, bitch, I got a cat.
So I had this cat, and then we had a litter box or anything, and so, but anyway, we didn't get anything. I had the cat for about a week. Then one day we left for school, and I guess we had the window open a little too much, and the cat got out of the kitchen window. And then when we came back that night, like we couldn't, like the cat was not there, and we couldn't find the cat. We woke up the next morning, and the brains of the cat were on our lawn, and we found out that the neighbor's dog, Cleopatra, ate our cat.
That was her name. Cleopatra was a bad bitch.
She ate our cat.
Well, do you think there's any chance on earth that your mom didn't like the cat, so she left the window open on purpose?
No, I don't think so. She loves cats.
You think your mom was like, me not taking care of no cat. We're going to leave your window open over there. Cat jumping out the window. Cleopatra, do what dogs do.
Mike, first of all, my mom is not fucking Jamaican. That's number one. What is this?
That was not a Jamaican accent.
That was Jamaican.
That was a St. Lucian accent.
That was not St. Lucian. Not even a little bit.
Kevin.
No,
making fun of
is like this. Kevin. Say, do you hear how that is? It's
Kevin. Well, also, I keep asking you to do a St. Lucian accent. I've been begging you on this podcast for 3 years.
Well, give me something to say. Give me something to say.
Tell me that you killed my cat on purpose.
Like, say that.
Tell me you left the window open.
Tell me.
See, Monet is embarrassed to do so. She will. I've been asking her to do a St. Lucian accent for years.
I'm not embarrassed. It's just hard to just say. Okay, say one more time what you want me to say.
I left the window open because I didn't like your cat.
I left the window open because I didn't like your cat.
I left the window open because I didn't like your cat. Is that it? Cleopatra. By the way, this is a traumatizing story. Now, if you all want to know, I wish I could pinpoint the episode. Maybe we'll be able to figure it out later on. But there are some episodes that really go deep into me and Monet's childhood.
Yes.
We basically, I can't remember, we discussed childhood trauma.
The one about parents, I think. Or like the one about parenting, something like that.
Yeah, and me and Monet go pretty deep. It was very emotional. We were crying.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So Monet and I both have really interesting childhood because Monet was raised. Monet was raised not by her biological parents, by her aunt and her aunt's husband, right?
Yeah.
And I was raised by my mother, but not my father, who has had a bout with drug abuse and just lying and stealing. And I feel like the most recent emotional moment we had on the podcast was when I was talking about the barber who traumatized me at the barber shop.
Oh my God, yes. That I hate that story.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I hate that.
Now, okay, what is your thought process? Because I want to hear if your idea of how this podcast came to be is the same as the truth.
Well, the podcast came to be, but so this was when I was on Drag Race, and then literally like the year I was like doing the thing, Bob accepted the role of Belize in Angels in America, which was happening in Berkeley, California. So Bob was gone from New York.
Which they don't know, Berkeley is in the Bay Area. Berkeley is in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Literally the biggest moment of my life. Bob was like, "Oh, you're going through this? I'm going to leave and not be here for you to emotionally and physically support you." I was like, "Work." So Bob left.
You better make my whole existence about supporting your ass.
Bob left from January until June of that year, 2018. So, and Bob and I literally, since that day that Bob made me that fucking horrible Little Mermaid dress, Bob and I literally talk every day. And we would speak every day for hours and hours on end. And Bob and I would always have these conversations like about from really serious stuff to silly stuff to funny stuff, just like talking on the phone. But to be fair, Bob talks to a lot of his friends on the phone a lot.
Also, Monet was I think one of the times that Monet gagged the most at me was there have been 2 times in my life and I was like, okay, what I did was a lot, but I still stand by what I did. The time that I invited you over to my place to sit down and make you watch Todrick Hall's film, because I kept being like, Monet, you need to watch this. It is important as Black queer people that we watch this film. And Monet kept being like, I'll watch. I kept asking her. So then I cleared Monet's schedule. I called Monet over. I had the whole thing set up in my living room, which was also my closet at the time. And we watched.
No, okay, you're missing many details. Number one, at this time I was working full time and doing drag. So I was working 40 hours a week and also doing drag on nights that on 2 or 3 nights out of the week when I could get it together, And also I had a fucking church job, which I had Wednesdays and Sundays. My life was really crazy, really busy. So when I had moments to sleep at home, I would cherish that. So one day, on the one day of the week Bob probably had off, which I think was Fridays or something like that, I get a call from Bob in the morning at 12 o'clock, and I used to work overnight from 11 to 7 a.m. So I would be sleeping until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I get a call from Bob. He's like, I'm like, hello? He's like, Monet, what are you doing? I was like, nothing, I'm just home. And you're like, you don't have anything to do today? I was like, no, I have my day off. He's like, come over to your place. Come over to my place. I need to show you something. And I was like, what? He's like, Monet, you don't have anything to do. Just please come over. This is important. I need you to see this. Come over to my place. And I just
Monet gets in the coexist mobile,
which I still do, just following Bob blindly like a fucking idiot. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming. I get to his house and he was like, we're gonna watch Straight Outta Oz. I was like, you made me drive my fucking car from Brooklyn to watch Straight Outta Oz. I was like, I can watch this on my own. I was so annoyed.
But you watched it and we cried and it was beautiful. Can you acknowledge that?
I'll
tell you the other ridiculous thing I did after this break. Okay, so the other ridiculous thing was that time that when you were getting, I never actually talked about this on the podcast. Monet was getting ready for Drag Race.
Oh, stop!
And Monet was like, Bob, I have to pick up gigs. I need to make money to go on Drag Race. This is so exhausting. I said, Monet, you really need to take this time to be prepared. You need to be sewing. You need to be talking to designers. You need to be planning out looks. And Monet was like, I know, I hear all that, but I also have to, I can't do this without money. So then I called Monet's gigs. I called the gig, because I used to work in those same places. I called the manager. I was like, y'all need to let Monet off. And they were like, what? I said, don't worry about Monet cannot work those nights. Monet cannot work for the next week. It is a wrap. Monet is done. And I was like, what do y'all pay Monet at these gigs? And they were like, this much. So then I factored in that plus some tips, and then Monet came over and we just had a night where I was like, Monet, you need to just take a night and just take it easy. So we just hung out, and then I gave Monet a little bit over her weekly earnings that time, which luckily for me at the time, it wasn't a whole lot.
No, you gave me. Okay, so I get to Bob's house. I don't remember who was it. I'm trying to find. It was a sugar pill box. So I get to Bob's house and Bob gives me a sugar pill box. This is back when sugar pill. Amy Shrinkle used to send girls products of the new stuff. So there's a sugar pill box and it had all the paper and stuff, and then Bob gave it to me. He was like, don't open this until you get home. I was like, okay.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, she said, don't open this until you get home. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then you're like, and Bob, like, Monet, I'm serious. Don't open it until you get home. I was like, okay, I won't. So then I took the box, I put it in my bag, and we hung out that whole night. I went home probably at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, as usual. And I got to my apartment, I opened the box, and Bob gave me $2,500. And I was like, oh my God.
But you also needed to take time off of work and to get your costumes good. Because I know the stress of trying to do your gigs and get ready for Drag Race. That shit is insane.
Yeah.
Especially when you work as much as me and Monet work. Now I know a lot of the queens that y'all see on Drag Race who may not be from LA or Chicago or New York City. These queens like Utica, or these queens queens from smaller towns, they be doing drag a couple of times a month.
Right.
At the most.
Yeah.
And it is, so they have more time to prepare. And for a lot of New York City queens like Brita Filter and Rose and Jan Sport and Bianca Del Rio, myself, Monet, Thorgy, a lot of us were trying to hold down at the least 5 gigs a week.
Yeah.
And trying to get ready for Drag Race.
What was crazy, your little daughter, Miss Cracker, literally the month before. So Cracker and I, we had a gig on Sundays together. And the month before, we left September 9th or something like that. And then the month before, in August 9th, Cracker left all her gigs. She was like, I'm not coming back for the next 2 months. And I was like, how can she afford to just leave these gigs like this? This is crazy.
I guess she was, Cracker also used to come from the corporate world, so maybe Cracker was just good at saving money. Maybe Cracker probably had a 401k. White folks be having money. White folks, let's right now. White folks have money. Do not believe them when they tell you they don't have money. They be having money every time.
So Bob being away, and then that's how we started Sibling Rivalry, because Bob was like, well, it was Bob's idea to start the podcast, Bob, but you can tell that part. Tell us, how do we start Sibling Rivalry, according to you?
Well, so I just, I am a podcast listener. Monet knows that Monet, if you've ever been around me before, and I don't do it so much around other people because it is hard to, it seems a little bit rude to listen to a podcast with someone in the room unless they consent. It's not like music. Like us, you can talk while songs are going or play a song, but sometimes if you show up while I'm painting, you'll hear me listen to This American Life or Serial or some podcast or Feast of Fun, which I used to listen to a lot back in the day. And I've been listening to podcasts and I've always loved them. It's a great way to pass time if you're commuting or if you're doing your makeup, if you're cleaning your house. It's just really great. Because sometimes music can get really repetitive, right? In my experience. Yeah. So I was like, one day we should do a podcast. I want to enter the podcasting space. And there were not any, I could not believe at the time there were no Ru Girls doing podcasts except RuPaul and Michelle.
Yeah, that's a gag. We were we were the first ones. That's crazy.
That is wild to me that no Ru Girl, and maybe someone's gonna drudge up an old Cameron Michaels and
Eureka
somebody podcast from the late 80s. But Monet and I currently have, outside of What's the Tea, the longest running Drag Race podcast, which I'm very proud of. So it was basically a way for me and Monet to connect and also monetize our personalities, because our dynamic together, a lot of people don't know this because we were on separate seasons, and maybe they wouldn't have even known this if we hadn't had this podcast, but Monet and I are really, really close friends, and we just have absurd, I mean, I don't even know this. To people who are in Patreon, we just watched The Time Traveler's Wife on Valentine's Day, and me and Monet had an epic blowout about what suspension of disbelief means. Okay, it will be. I'm telling you about anything. We will be. And Monet be acting like I'm the only one heated. Monet be fired up too.
Don't be fired up.
Monet be on fire, just like me. I don't be arguing by myself.
But give you the opportunity, and you would. So the premise of Sibling Rivalry is that we wanted to let people into just normal conversations that Bob and I have all the time. So that's why anytime we discuss something, we always say we are not experts in the field of this. We're not biologists. We aren't doctors, whatever it is, because these are just like you would have conversations with maybe your best friend or your siblings or your family members. This is literally what this is. We just happen to have a headphone, a microphone, and a really nice camera recording it.
And matching headphones. At one point, I'm using Ezra's headphones today.
Are those gaming headphones?
No, these are just regular headphones for music stuff.
Got it.
I mean, so our most legendary argument is probably veganism. I mean, and y'all don't even realize if you go back and listen to the veganism argument, people are in the comments being like, "Oh no, they argue." It was and y'all don't even know that was a redo of the original. The original one was before me and Monet had ever actually recorded any podcast or anything. Girl. And we were wilding out. Monet does this thing. Well, Monet does this thing where I'll say something, and then Monet would be like, I'll be like, Monet, I just think that this, and this. And Monet goes, okay, so if I'm some big monster, so I'm some big nasty fucking monster. And I was like, I didn't say that. All I said was, I think that the meat industry has some of these traits. Oh, so I'm a bad person. I'm like, oh, right. What did you think about that argument, Monet?
Oh, the veganism was wild, but I, like you said, that's so funny because Bob and I had this argument, but literally, I think like a year before we actually did the podcast about it, and we got so mad at each other. We had like a real moment. I didn't talk to Bob for like 2 days afterwards. I'm like, I need time. I need to cool off. But anytime you argue with Bob for real, Bob is not the you go your separate way, I go my way, I need to calm down. Bob is like, no, we're gonna talk about it right now. Bob cannot let you go and cool down. I'm like, no, you're not cooling down. We're talking about it right here, right now.
Well, Monet had a pretty big argument during the pandemic where we had a misunderstanding. So Monet called me and asked me for someone's number. He's this cartoonist named Jay Solcenti. Check out his work. He's a great animator and he's really cute too, like kind of cute little muscle guys. But Monet was like, I need Jay Solcenti's phone number. And I was like, okay. I'm watching a TV thing right now though, so just text me and remind me so I don't forget to send it to you. And then Monet didn't text me, but she called me back in like 30 minutes like, Bob, I really need that number. And I said, oh my God, I forgot, but you got to text me. And then when they said, I'm not texting you.
No.
I think I don't know what you were on that day. You were hot.
That's not even it.
But it was like, I'm not texting you.
You forgot about it. No. That night I asked you. Then it was the next day I was painting. And then you and I happened to be on the phone again. And you said something to the effect of, so weren't you not going to text me to remind you about the thing? And I was like, but you just remembered it right now. So I was like, so you can just send it. But Bob would not send it. He was like, no, but you need to text me. And I was like,
no,
but yes.
That's not the truth. I had actually, when I was telling you, you're not gonna text me, I had already texted him and said, can I give Monet your number? So Monet knows a strong and hard rule in my life is I will not give anyone else's number unless I have their permission. I don't care if it is the least famous person or the most famous person. I make sure that I'm sure everyone would be like, please give Monet my number. I'm like, I don't know. Like for example, like someone who I know like would be mad is like Peppermint. If I ever gave anyone Peppermint's number, she would bite my head off. Like Peppermint would go bananas on me.
Yeah.
So I texted him at that moment. Was like, hey, gonna give Monet your number, and then I said you were gonna remind me, and then Monet went off the handle and let me have it.
No, because I was so glad because Bob, like y'all said, he was already getting it. He was already doing the thing, but he was like, but you would not give it to me unless I texted you. That was the premise of what you said.
Also not true. What ended up happening was as soon as Jay Solcenti sent it to me, I sent it to you. Jay did not see my text for a minute. Now I will admit this. I was a little hot at you in the moment, so I was not telling you that I was waiting for Jay, which would have probably been very valuable information and would have probably prevented a lot of arguing. But when I got the number, I sent it to you, and Monet hit me with the old classic, I got it already.
Yo, we've had some really good fights. That's good.
I know it sounds toxic, but I really like arguing with you. Like arguing with you is fun. I don't know how else to say it, Monet, but it is genuinely fun. Is that bad? Is that horrible?
No, we recently had a big old thing about not an actual fight, but like an epic argument about divas and Kesha. It literally it's us and all of our friends. We are screaming about divas. Jacob got his 3 phones and his computer in his lap, getting definitions, throwing definitions. It was insane.
Okay, so Monet and I also both do this thing. We both do this where if we're arguing, we call someone. We just call anybody. Anyone who will answer the phone. By the way, we don't call experts. We just call our friends. We are not calling up like experts. We'll call Pixie Aventura. We'll call Mitch Farino. We'll call DJ Two-Face. We call we just call them random ass people. And then if one person says anything that sounds even like an inkling of agreeing with us, we'd be like, say.
I will say that's oftentimes more so me. Bob likes to get more definition and more truth. But if someone gives me just a little spurt of what I think, I'm like, yeah, you see, that's what they said. I would admit that. I would concede. I would concede on that point.
So listen, if you are a brand new listener here at Sibling Rivalry, thank you for joining us. And if you are brand new, you probably don't know this, but you can go over to our Patreon, and there is so much content. Let me tell you right now, me and Monet do not slack when it comes to our content. We be posting nonstop, going full on bananas. We have 19 posts from our live shows, including our performances. We have posts including Miss Cracker. We have the podcast when we were at YouTube Studios. We have our podcast since we've been in quarantine, in which we've been doing twice a week now because of Watchery, which I think we're going to continue down the line. So, yeah. Monet, I'm just so glad we're on this journey together.
I am so happy we are too, Roberta.
Can I talk to you about the notion or the idea of going like, I think that we have the next fucking Breakfast Club on our hands. Like, call me crazy. I really think so.
I believe I agree, and I don't see why we can't have that.
So we are going to continue. And listen, as long as y'all continue to keep showing us love, we're going to keep amping it up and ramping it up and doing our thing. And this has just been honestly like the last couple of weeks, y'all been really going off for us on the Sibling Rivalry and on the Patreon, on Watchery on YouTube, and our YouTube page is popping. We've recently reached over 100,000 on our, we have 106,000 subscribers on our YouTube. So I'm just incredibly grateful.
Same.
Aw, a little wet ass kiss. Whack.
Wet ass. Work.
You know, Heidi has a WAP parody.
Oh, Gap.
Coming out tomorrow.
Is it Gap or is it GOP? Because you say WAP, I say WAP.
No, I say WAP. I say WAP. I say WAP.
So is it GOP?
And I think it's Gap because she has a gap.
Well, no, she closed it. She got it closed, didn't she?
No. Oh. I just did a video. Unless she had it closed in the last week.
Oh, it was fake. Got it. I was like, I cannot believe Heidi closed her Gap. Got it.
Wait, she did a fake little Gap closing?
Yeah, I knew I saw that.
Oh, flipper.
I was like, oh, but people move to LA and they closing, they're fixing their teeth, they getting Botox, which Patty got Botox and lip injection shit. Patty, he looks good. You look good.
Wait, in that picture of y'all at the Truly thing, that was his work?
Yeah, girl, it looks good.
Work. You better work. Kennedy got some work done too.
Girl, Kennedy moves. Patty not even in LA, and which by the way, so I have to tell you off camera because it's too much.
All right, bye y'all. I'm talking about it off camera.